Welcome back. We're in the last two of these Composition Basics series. We are finishing up these ideas of how we can creatively break the rules. This slide is actually fairly short, so I'm going to spend time pointing out how they work rather than just what the ideas are. So use shadows and reflections to add interest to your pieces. There's not a whole lot to say other than you can use these things to either represent the subject entirely or to provide that reflective aspect and that mysterious aspect. If you look at the picture on the left, this is the one I'm using for using shadows and highlights to add interest. Can you tell what it's a picture of? Can you tell what the story is about? This picture was taken at about 10 o'clock on a summer night. So the sun had recently set, it was beautiful out, and this particular area had a lot of lights behind their garden flowers. So it feels almost like you're looking into like a secret wonderland, right? I know that sometimes this is going to feel really goofy and cheesy, but you really can push the ideas of what is reality and what is fantasy when you change up how and where you take your pictures. So when I saw this scene, especially with changing how the colors came out a little bit, it really felt like I was looking into some like secret fairy garden party. And you might be sitting there thinking, man, Miss Tran is going crazy in quarantine. I should probably avoid that. Just let yourself be creative. Let your viewers be creative. You don't have to just represent reality with further reality. You can engross your audience with this idea of what could be or what might be, right? We don't just have to work with the people who are creating something from nothing to give us these ideas of fantasy and fiction. You can make them yourselves. And that kind of works with reflections as well. Now, in the picture on the right, it's a picture of a lake at sunset, and you can see the hills reflected in the water. Water can be as smooth and flat as glass, and oftentimes when you take pictures of reflections in water, it can be kind of hard to distinguish between what's the real one and what's the reflection. So that's something that you can think about when composing using reflections. Now in this picture, it has that added texture of the gentle waves on it, but that can also just work in its own way, because then it becomes this painterly effect. Like the top is the photograph, and then the bottom is what somebody painted of it. So reflections can become almost more of an interaction in their own way, where the reality and the also real but less tangible come in together and work as one. Now, that's not even to talk about the fact that they can create a kind of symmetry and a kind of balance, in part because you don't have to include the non-reflected version of what your subject is. My picture happens to include it, but yours don't. Got it? You can just use the reflection. So you can just take a picture of yourself in the mirror. Or you can take a picture of half of your face with the other half being reflected in the mirror. Think about that. What are some other ways that you can use reflections or shadows or these pieces of reality to make it a little less real? Our final page of this will be about framing, so get ready for that, and I'm sure we're going to have a good time.